Welcome back to our channel. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever tried to change your life and failed? Maybe you wanted to get healthy. Maybe you wanted to read more. Maybe you wanted to wake up early, or save money, or finally become the person you always imagined. So you decided to change everything. You made a big plan. You felt excited, and for a few days, you did it. But then life got busy. You got tired. And slowly, quietly, you went back to exactly where you started. If this has happened to you, I want you to hear something. It is not your fault. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not broken. You simply tried to change in the wrong way. Today, I want to share an idea that comes from a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it is one of the most freeing ideas you will ever hear. Here it is. You do not need to change your whole life. You only need to change one tiny thing. So small it feels like nothing, and then repeat it. That is the whole message of this video. Big changes are not the answer. Tiny changes are, and by the end, I hope you will believe, truly believe, that the life you want is built not in one giant leap, but in small, quiet steps that anyone can take. Including you, especially you. So stay with me until the end. Because this might change the way you think about change forever. Let us begin part 1. Why big changes do not work. Let me ask you something. How many times have you tried to fix everything at once? You said starting tomorrow, I will exercise every day. I will eat perfectly. I will study for 3 hours. I will become a completely new person. It feels powerful, does it not? For one day, maybe two, you ride that wave of motivation. But then the wave disappears, and the giant plan becomes too heavy to carry. So you drop it, and then you feel like a failure. But here is the truth. You did not fail because you are weak. You failed because the plan was too big. Big changes need a huge amount of energy. And nobody has huge energy every single day. Some days you are tired. Some days you are sad. Some days life is simply hard. A plan that needs you to be perfect will always break, because no human is perfect every day. So what is the answer? The answer is to make the change so small that you cannot fail. So small that even on your worst day, your most tired day, your saddest day, you can still do it. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people who both want to get fit. The first person decides to run for 1 hour every day. On the first day, they run. It is hard, but they do it. On the second day, they run again. By the third day, their body aches, they are exhausted, and they skip it. The next day, they skip it again. Within a week, they have stopped completely. And they tell themselves, I guess I am just not a fitness person. Now look at the second person. The second person decides to do just one thing. Every day, they put on their running shoes and walk out the front door. That is all. They are allowed to come right back inside if they want. It sounds almost silly, does it not? But on the first day, they do it. On their worst day, they still do it because it is so easy. And slowly, something happens. Once the shoes are on and they are outside, they often feel like walking a little. Then, a little more. After a few months, the second person is running and they barely noticed it happen. So who succeeded? Not the person with the big plan. The person with the tiny one. This is the first thing I want you to understand. Small beats big, easy beats hard. The habit you can actually keep beats the perfect habit you abandon. Always. Let us move to part 2. The power of 1%. Now I want to show you something that sounds impossible, but it is true. A tiny change, repeated, becomes enormous. Imagine you got just 1% better at something every day, 1%. That is almost nothing. You would not even feel it. On any single day, 1% looks meaningless, so most people ignore it. They think, why bother? It is too small to matter. But here is the magic. If you improve 1% every day for 1 year, you do not end up 1% better. Because each small gain builds on the last, you end up about 37 times better. 37 times. From something you could barely feel. And the opposite is also true. If you get 1% worse every day, you slowly shrink down to almost nothing. The small choices you make today seem to disappear, but they do not disappear. They add up, quietly. Day after day. This is why your daily habits matter so much more than you think. Not because one day is powerful, one day is weak, but because you repeat it hundreds of times, thousands of times. Let me give you a picture to hold in your mind. Imagine an ice cube sitting on a table in a cold room. The air is freezing. Then slowly the room begins to warm. It rises 1 degree. Nothing happens. It rises another degree. Nothing, another degree, and another and another. The ice cube just sits there. You might look at it and think, this is useless. All this warming is doing nothing. But then the air rises 1 more degree and suddenly, the ice begins to melt. 1 single degree, no stronger than all the degrees before it, finally created the change. Now listen carefully. Were all those earlier degrees wasted? Every single one was necessary. They were doing the quiet, invisible work that made the melting possible. Your habits work exactly the same way. When you practice every day and see no change, you are warming the air. When you take one small step and nothing seems to happen, you are warming the air. Your effort is not wasted, it is being stored. And one day, it breaks through. So when progress feels invisible, do not quit. The invisible days are the most important days. Keep warming the air. The melting is coming. Let us go to part 3. Forget the goal, build the system. Here is something most people get wrong. They focus on the goal. I want to lose 10 kilos. I want to write a book. I want to be calm. And goals are fine. They give you a direction. But goals are not what change your life. Your daily system changes your life. What is the difference? A goal is the result you want. A system is the small thing you do every day. The goal is the destination far away. The system is the single step you take, again and again. Let me ask you a question. Imagine a race with many runners. Every single runner wants to win. They all have the same goal. So if the goal is the same for everyone, why does only one person win? It is not the goal. It is the system. The winner is the one whose daily practice was better. The goal never made the difference. The daily habit did. Let me give you another picture. Imagine 2 people who both want a clean and peaceful home. The first person waits until the house is a complete mess, then spends a whole exhausting day cleaning everything. They feel good for a moment. But a week later, the mess is back because nothing in their daily life changed. The second person does one small thing every day. They wash one dish after each meal. They put one thing away before bed. Their home is never a disaster because their daily system quietly keeps it clean. The first person chased the goal. The second person built the system, and the second person won without the giant, exhausting effort. So I want you to stop asking, what do I want to achieve? And start asking, what is the small thing I can do every day? Fall in love with the small daily action, and the results will take care of themselves. Let us move to part 4. You are not changing your habits. You are changing who you are. This is the deepest part of the whole idea. So please listen with an open heart. Most people try to change from the outside. They focus on what they want to have or what they want to do. But real change, the kind that lasts, starts from the inside. It starts with who you believe you are. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine two people trying to quit smoking. Someone offers each of them a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The second person says, "No thanks, I am not a smoker." Do you hear the difference? The first person still believes they are a smoker who is struggling, fighting, resisting. So every cigarette they refuse is a battle. But the second person has changed who they are. For them, saying no is easy. It is not a battle at all. They are simply not a smoker anymore. It is just who they are. This is the secret. You do not just do habits. You become someone through your habits. And here is the most beautiful part. Every small action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. When you read one page, you vote. I am a reader. When you take one short walk, you vote. I am a healthy person. When you save a little money, you vote. I am someone who is in control. You do not need to win every vote. Nobody does. You will miss some days. That is human. You only need to win most of them over time. So do not say, I want to learn to cook. Say, I am becoming someone who cooks. Do not say, I want to be calm. Say, I am becoming a calmer person, one breath at a time. And then prove it to yourself with one tiny action today. And another tomorrow. Because first you make your small habits. And then your small habits make you. Let us go to part 5. How to make a good habit easy. Now let me give you something you can use today. Something practical. Because ideas are nice, but you deserve to know exactly how to begin. The most important rule is this: make it easy. So easy that you cannot say no. We fail at habits not because we are weak, but because we ask too much of ourselves at the start. We say, I will meditate for 30 minutes. I will study for 2 hours. And for a day or two, we manage it. But then real life arrives, and the giant habit collapses. So here is a gentle rule from the book. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes. Read one page, do one push-up. Write one sentence, sit quietly for 1 minute. I know what you are thinking. That is too small. That cannot possibly work, but that is exactly the point. The habit must first exist before it can grow. It is far better to do a tiny thing every day than to do a huge thing once and then quit forever. So master the art of showing up. Just show up. Even if you do the smallest possible amount. Because the person who reads one page every day will read more books than the person who plans to read 50 pages and never starts. Let me give you one more tool. It is called habit stacking. You connect your new habit to something you already do every day. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will read one page. After I brush my teeth at night, I will write one sentence. The old habit becomes the reminder for the new one. You do not have to rely on memory. You do not have to rely on motivation. The chain does the work. And here is one more idea. Design your space. We do what is easy to see and easy to reach. So if you want to read more, put the book on your pillow. If you want to drink more water, put the glass on your desk. If you want to stop scrolling your phone late at night, leave the phone in another room. You do not need more willpower. You need a smarter setup. Make the good habit easy. Make the bad habit hard. That is the whole secret. Let us move to part 6. What to do when you fall. Now I need to tell you something honest. You will fall. You will miss a day. You will break the chain. It will happen because you are human and life is messy. And in that moment, a voice will appear inside your head. It will say, "See, you failed again. You always do this. You will never change. You might as well give up." Please do not listen to that voice. Here is the truth. Missing one day does not hurt you. Everyone misses a day. The danger is never the first missed day. The danger is the second, because one missed day becomes two, and two become a week, and a week becomes giving up entirely. So here's the most important rule in the whole book. Never miss twice. If you miss a day, that is okay. It is human. Just come back the next day, calmly, without shame, without punishing yourself. One missed day is an accident. 2 missed days is the start of a new bad habit. So just return. Always return. Let me ask you something. When a small child is learning to walk and they fall down, do you scold them? Do you say, "You failed, you will never walk, give up"? Of course not. You smile and you help them up and they try again. So why do you treat yourself so much worse than you would treat a child? Be kind to yourself when you fall. Shame does not build habits. Gentleness does. The people who succeed are not the people who never fall. They are the people who fall and get back up and fall and get back up again and again without giving up. So if you slip, do not quit. Just begin again. The return is the whole skill. Master the art of beginning again, and nothing can ever stop you. Nothing. Let us come to the final part. The quiet truth about a better life. We have talked about small habits. We have talked about the power of 1%. We have talked about systems and identity and making things easy and never missing twice. Now let me give you the one truth that holds it all together. The life you want is not waiting on the other side of one big heroic moment. It is being built right now, today, in the small and ordinary things you do. The page you read, the walk you take, the kind word you say to yourself. These small things are not small at all. They are everything. Let me ask you to imagine something. Imagine 1 year from now. Imagine that every single day you did one tiny thing. 1 page, 1 minute. One small step. It felt like nothing each day. But now a year has passed. Where would you be? How much would those tiny steps have added up to? How different could your life look? The answer depends on what you do today, not next week, not next month, today. So here's what I want you to do when this video ends. Do not try to change your whole life. That thought is too heavy, and it only makes us afraid. Instead, choose one thing, one tiny habit, something so small you cannot fail at it. And do it today, and then do it again tomorrow. That is enough. Truly, it is enough. Because that is how lives are actually changed, not in one loud explosion, but quietly, slowly, gently, one small habit at a time. You are not behind. You are not too late. You have not missed your chance. You are standing in exactly the right place to begin, and the right place is wherever you are, right now. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be extraordinary. You only need to take one small step and then take it again and again and again. Be patient with yourself. Be gentle with yourself and trust the process. Because the smallest step forward is still a step forward, and every step is carrying you quietly toward the person you are becoming. You have everything you need to begin. You always did. But wait, before you go, I want to stay with you a little longer. Because there are a few more things about this idea that I do not want you to miss. They are too important. So please settle in once more and let us keep going together. I want to come back to that feeling of failing. Because I know it well, and I think you do too. That moment when you look at your life and you feel the heavy distance between where you are and where you want to be. You see the person you wish you were. Calm, disciplined, confident. And then you look at your real life, and the gap feels enormous, and it hurts. It makes you feel like you are failing every single day just by not being there yet. But here's what I want you to understand. You do not cross that gap in one giant leap. Nobody does. You cross it one small step at a time. The person of your dreams is not someone you become in a single magical moment. They are someone you build, slowly one tiny choice after another. Let me ask you something. Have you ever watched the sun rise? It does not happen all at once. There is no single moment where the darkness becomes light. It happens so slowly that you cannot see it moving. And then, somehow, the whole sky is bright. You did not see it change. But it changed. Your life changes the same way. So slowly you cannot feel it. And then one day you look around and everything is different. So do not be discouraged that you cannot see the change today. The sun is still rising. Keep going. Now I want to talk about something that traps so many people. It is the idea that you need to feel motivated before you can act. So many people are waiting. They are waiting to feel ready. They are waiting to feel inspired. They say, I will start when I feel motivated. But let me tell you the truth about motivation. Motivation is like the weather. Some days it shines. Some days it disappears completely. And if you only act on the days you feel motivated, you will act very rarely. So do not wait for motivation. Do not depend on it. Instead, make your habit so small that you can do it even when you feel nothing at all. Even when you are tired. Even when you are sad. Even when every part of you wants to quit. Let me ask you a question. Do you brush your teeth only when you feel motivated to brush your teeth? Of course not. You just do it. every day, without thinking, without waiting for inspiration. That is what a real habit looks like. It does not need motivation, it just runs. And that is what we are building. Not a burst of excitement. A quiet, reliable habit that runs even on your worst day. Now let me give you another picture, because I want this idea to live in your heart. Imagine two people who both want to learn something new. The first person waits. They say, I will start when I have more time. I will start when I find the perfect course. I will start when conditions are right. And they wait. And they wait. And the perfect moment never comes. Months pass. Years pass. And they are exactly where they started. The second person does not wait. They start small today with what they already have. They are not perfect. Their start is messy, but they show up a little every day. And after 1 year, the second person has come so far that they barely recognize their old self. So let me ask you, which person do you want to be? The one who waits for the perfect moment that never comes? Or the one who starts small today, exactly where they are? You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need more time. You do not need to feel ready. You only need to begin small now. Let me return to that idea of 1%, because I want you to really feel how powerful small things are. Think about a single drop of water. One drop seems like nothing. It cannot move a stone, it cannot fill a cup. One drop is weak, but imagine that one drop falling on the same stone over and over for years. Drop after drop after drop. Eventually, that single weak drop carves a hole right through solid rock. Not because any one drop was strong, but because the drops kept coming. Your small habits are those drops. One page is a drop. One walk is a drop. One small choice is a drop. On any single day, it seems too weak to matter, but the drops keep coming. And slowly, quietly, they carve a new life out of the hard stone of who you used to be. So never say, this is too small to matter. Nothing is too small if you repeat it. The drop seems weak. But the drop wins. The drop always wins. Now let me talk to you about something gentle, because I think you need to hear it. You have probably tried to change before. Many times, maybe. And maybe you have failed many times. And somewhere along the way, you may have started to believe a sad story about yourself. A story that says, I am the kind of person who never finishes. I am the kind of person who always gives up. I am the kind of person who cannot change. I want you to know that this story is not true. It was never true. You did not fail because of who you are. You failed because of the method. You tried to change too much, too fast, with too much pressure. And that method breaks everyone. It would break anyone. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. So let me offer you a new story. You are someone who is learning a better way. You are someone who starts small. You are someone who is gentle with yourself when you fall and who always begins again. That is who you are becoming starting now. And every small habit you keep is proof. Every tiny step is evidence that the old story was a lie. You are not the person who always gives up. You are becoming the person who quietly, patiently keeps going. Let me give you one more comparison because I want this to be clear. Imagine two gardeners. The first gardener is impatient. They plant a seed, and the next day they dig it up to see if it is growing. Then they plant it again and dig it up again, frustrated that there is no tree yet. Of course, the seed never grows because they keep disturbing it. The second gardener plants the seed and then simply waters it a little every day. They do not dig it up. They do not panic when they see nothing. They trust the process. They keep watering. And one day, a green shoot breaks through the soil. So many of us are the first gardener. We start a habit, and then we panic because we do not see results fast enough. So we quit and start something new and quit again. But change does not work that way. Change is the second gardener. Plant the small habit. Water it a little every day. Do not dig it up to check. Just trust and keep watering. The shoot is coming. It is always coming for the gardener who keeps watering. Now let me ask you to think about your future self. There is a version of you 1 year from now, and right now, today, you are deciding who that person will be. Every small thing you do today is a gift or a burden that you are handing to your future self. When you take one small walk today, you are giving your future self a healthier body. When you read one page today, you are giving your future self a wiser mind. When you save a little today, you are giving your future self freedom. When you are kind to yourself today, you are giving your future self peace. So let me ask you, what gift do you want to give the person you will become? You cannot give them everything at once, but you can give them one small thing today and then another tomorrow. And those small gifts, stacked up over a year, become a life. Your future self is watching what you do today. Not the giant gestures, the small, quiet, ordinary choices. Those are the gifts that matter. Those are the gifts that last. Let me say a few more words about being gentle with yourself, because I think it is the part most people forget. We live in a world that tells us to push harder, to be tougher, to criticize ourselves into changing. And so when we fail, we attack ourselves. We say cruel things in our own heads that we would never say to anyone else. We believe that if we are just hard enough on ourselves, we will finally change. But it does not work. It never works. Shame does not create good habits. Shame makes us want to hide and give up and run from the whole thing. What actually works is kindness. When you fall, speak to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend who fell. Not you failure, you always do this. But it is okay. Everyone slips, let us just begin again tomorrow. That gentle voice is not weakness. That gentle voice is what carries you forward, day after day, when the harsh voice would have made you quit. So please be kind to yourself on this journey. You are not in a war with yourself. You are learning slowly, patiently, to become who you want to be. And learning always includes mistakes. The mistakes are not the end. They are simply part of the path. Let me ask you one last question before we finish. What is one tiny thing you could do tomorrow? Something so small, so gentle, that you could not possibly fail at it. Maybe it is reading one single page. Maybe it is 1 minute of sitting quietly and breathing. Maybe it is drinking one glass of water in the morning. Maybe it is writing down one thing you are grateful for. Maybe it is taking one short walk to the end of your street. Whatever it is, make it small. Make it so small that it feels almost silly. And then do it tomorrow. And the day after. and let that be enough. Because here is the final truth, and I want you to carry it with you. You do not need to be a different person. You do not need to transform overnight. You do not need to be perfect or extraordinary or strong every single day. You only need to take one small step and then take it again. That is how every great change in history was built. Not in one leap, but in 1,000 small, quiet, repeated steps that nobody noticed. Until one day the whole world was different. Your life is no different. It will be built the same way. One small habit repeated, with patience, with kindness. Starting today, you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. And the next small step is right in front of you, waiting. All you have to do is take it, so take it. Today, and then take it again tomorrow. And trust, with all your heart, that something quiet and beautiful is already beginning to grow. But I'm not quite ready to let you go yet. Because I want to make sure this idea truly lives inside you. So let me ask you a few more questions and tell you a few more stories. Stay with me. Let me ask you this. Have you ever looked at someone successful and thought, they must be so different from me? They must have more discipline, more talent, more willpower, a better life. And then you looked at yourself and felt small. I want to free you from that thought today, because the truth is, most successful people are not more talented than you. They are not stronger than you. They simply built better small habits and repeated them longer. Let me tell you about a cycling team. For almost 100 years, this team was ordinary. They almost never won anything. Then a new coach arrived, and he did not promise some giant, dramatic transformation. Instead, he looked for tiny improvements, 1% improvements, in everything. They made the bike seats slightly more comfortable. They found a better way for the riders to wash their hands so they got sick less often. They tested different pillows so the riders could sleep better. Each change was small, almost silly. Who could win a race because of a better pillow? But all these tiny 1% changes added together, repeated over years, created something extraordinary. Within a few years, that ordinary team became one of the greatest teams in the history of the sport. They won and won and won, and nothing about them had changed dramatically. They had simply gotten a little bit better at 100 small things. So let me ask you, if 100 tiny changes could transform an entire team, what could just one tiny change do for you if you repeated it every day for a year? The answer is more than you can imagine. Far more. Now let me ask you another question. Have you ever started something, felt great for a week, and then quietly stopped? Not because it was hard, but because it got boring? This happens to almost everyone. At the start, a new habit is exciting. It is fresh. It feels good. But then the novelty fades. The results slow down, and the habit becomes ordinary. And this exact moment is where most people quit. Not because they failed, but because they got bored. So I want to tell you something important. Boredom is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. Boredom is the normal middle of every worthwhile thing. The people who succeed are not the ones who are always excited. They are the ones who keep showing up even when it is boring, even when it is ordinary, even when no part of it feels special anymore. Let me say that again, because it matters. Anyone can show up when it is exciting. The ones who win are the ones who show up when it is boring. So when your habit becomes dull, do not take it as a signal to stop. Take it as a sign that you have reached the place where real change is made. Keep going. Right through the boredom. That is where the magic is hiding. Let me give you another picture. Imagine you are pushing a heavy stone wheel. At the very beginning, it is so hard. You push and it barely moves. You sweat, you strain, and it turns just a little. This is the start of any habit. It feels heavy. It feels like nothing is happening. Most people give up right here, at the hardest point. But if you keep pushing, the wheel turns a little faster, and then a little faster. And after a while, the wheel has so much momentum that it almost turns by itself. Now a gentle push keeps it spinning. The habit that was once so heavy is now almost effortless. This is what you are doing in the early days. You are pushing the heavy wheel. It is supposed to feel hard at first. That difficulty is not a sign of failure. It is the price of momentum, so push through the heavy beginning. Because on the other side, the wheel spins on its own, and the habit becomes who you are. Now let me ask you something gentle. When you imagine changing your life, do you imagine it as a battle? A war against yourself? A test of how much pain you can endure? So many people believe that change must be painful, that you have to force yourself, punish yourself, fight yourself every single day. But I want to offer you a kinder way. Change does not have to be a war. It can be gentle. It can be patient. It can even be peaceful. You do not need to attack yourself into becoming better. You only need to take one small, kind step and then another and another. You are not your own enemy. You are your own gardener, patiently watering a seed. And gardens do not grow through violence. They grow through patience and sunlight and gentle daily care. So let go of the war. You do not need it. You never did. The quiet, patient path works better, and it is so much kinder to your heart. Let me ask you to imagine one more thing. Imagine that today you stopped waiting. You stopped waiting to feel ready. You stopped waiting for the perfect plan. You stopped waiting for motivation, for the right time, for permission. And instead, you simply chose one small thing and you did it. Today, right now. What would happen? Nothing dramatic at first. The world would not change overnight, but you would have cast your first vote. You would have proven with one tiny action that you are someone who begins, and tomorrow, you would cast another vote. And another, and slowly, without any drama, you would become a different person. Not through one huge moment, through 1,000 small ones. So let me ask you simply, what are you waiting for? The perfect moment is not coming. It never comes. There is only this moment, the one you are in right now. And in this moment you can begin, small, imperfect, gentle, but real. Let me remind you of everything one more time in the simplest way I can. You do not need to change everything. You only need to change one small thing. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to be consistent. You do not need motivation. You only need a habit small enough to do without it. You do not need to win every day. You only need to never miss twice. You do not need to attack yourself when you fall. You only need to gently begin again. And you do not need to see results today. You only need to trust that the drops are falling, the air is warming, the wheel is turning, the seed is growing, even when you cannot see it. This is the whole message. Small habits, repeated with patience and kindness, build the life you want. Not in one leap, in 1,000 quiet steps. So here's my final question for you. What is the one small step you will take tomorrow? Do not answer with something huge. Do not promise to change your whole life. Just choose one tiny thing, one page, 1 minute, one walk, one kind word to yourself, and promise that you will do that one small thing and then do it again the next day. That is enough. It has always been enough. The smallest step forward is still a step forward. And you, exactly as you are right now, have everything you need to take it. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not broken. You are simply standing at the beginning of a quieter, kinder, more patient way to change. And that beginning is available to you today, right now, wherever you are. So take the small step. Take it today, and then take it again tomorrow. And trust, with all your heart, that something beautiful is already beginning to grow inside you. Before we truly finish, let me ask you to think about a few people. Real situations like yours, like mine, because I want you to see how this one small idea changes everything, no matter who you are. Imagine a tired parent. They work all day. They come home exhausted, and every night, they tell themselves they should do something for their own dreams. Learn a skill, write, build something, but by the end of the day, there is nothing left. No energy, no time. So the dream waits for years. Now, what if that tired parent did not try to find an hour they do not have? What if they found just 5 minutes? 5 minutes after the children are asleep, 5 minutes before bed. So small that even on the most exhausting day, they can do it. 5 minutes a day, every day, becomes more than 30 hours a year. 30 hours, carved out of a life that felt completely full. That is the power of small. It fits into a life that has no room left. So let me ask you, do you really have no time? Or do you only have no time for the giant version? Because the small version fits anywhere. The small version fits into the cracks of even the busiest, hardest life. And the small version, repeated, is enough. Now imagine someone who feels like they have failed too many times. Someone who has started and quit so often that they have stopped believing in themselves. Every new attempt feels heavy because it carries the weight of all the old failures. If that is you, I want you to hear this. Your past attempts were not failures. They were practice. Every time you started, you learned something. Every time you quit, you learned what does not work for you. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from experience. And this time, you know the secret. Start smaller, be gentler. Never miss twice. This time is different. Not because you're different, but because the method is. So do not let your past convince you that change is impossible. Your past only proves that the old way did not work. It says nothing about the new way, and the new way is small and patient and kind. The new way is built for humans, not for heroes. The new way is built for you. Let me ask you another question. When you think about the person you want to become, does it feel far away? Like a stranger you will never meet? I want to make that person closer. Because here is the truth. You do not have to become them all at once. You only have to act like them in one small way today. The healthy person takes a walk. So take a walk. The calm person breathes for 1 minute. So breathe for 1 minute. The reader reads one page. So read one page. You do not become them and then act like them. You act like them in tiny ways, and slowly you become them. The gap between you and your future self is not crossed by a giant leap. It is crossed by one small action, repeated, until the stranger you dreamed of becomes the person you see in the mirror. And that person was never far away. They were always just one small step ahead of you, waiting for you to follow. Let me give you one more picture to hold. Imagine a wall being built, one brick at a time. On the first day, the builder lays a single brick. It looks like nothing, just one brick on the ground. You might walk past and think that is not a wall. That builder is wasting their time. But the builder is not worried about the wall. The builder is only worried about laying one brick as well as they can today. And tomorrow, another, and the next day, another. The builder does not look up at the empty space where the wall should be and despair. They simply lay their one brick every day. And one day, you walk past and there is a wall. A strong, beautiful wall. It was built by someone who never tried to build a wall. They only ever tried to lay one brick. Well, today. So do not try to build the whole wall. You will only frighten yourself and freeze and quit. Just lay one brick today. One small habit done well. And then another tomorrow. And trust that the wall is rising, brick by quiet brick, even when all you can see is the single brick in your hands. This is the gentlest and most powerful truth I know. You are always only responsible for one brick. One small step, one page, 1 minute today. That is all that is ever being asked of you, not the whole wall. Just today's brick. So let me ask you one final time. Can you lay one brick today? Can you take one small step? Something so small that you cannot fail, cannot make excuses, cannot talk yourself out of it? I believe you can. I believe it completely, because it is small enough for anyone. And that means it is small enough for you. So here is everything in the simplest words. Start small, stay gentle. Show up even when it is boring. Never miss twice. Be kind when you fall, and trust that your tiny steps are quietly building something far greater than you can see today. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be extraordinary. You do not need to change your whole life by tomorrow morning. You only need one small habit, repeated with patience, starting today. That is the whole secret of atomic habits, and it has been within your reach this entire time. It always was. So go now, gently, and take your one small step. And then take it again tomorrow, and the day after. And let those small steps carry you quietly, beautifully, toward the life and the person you have always wanted to become. You can do this. I truly believe you can. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message gave you a little hope today, please like, share, and subscribe so we can keep growing together, one small step at a time. Take care of yourself. And remember, the smallest step forward is still a step forward. I will see you in the next video.